evening, Yorktown, and welcome to the town board meeting for Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. If you could please rise, we'll have Councilman Tom Diana lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilman Diana. If you can all please join us in a moment of silence. This past weekend, we crossed the 1-year anniversary of our state of emergency for COVID-19 in this terrible pandemic. Once again, we keep those in our thoughts and prayers who have lost their battle with the COVID-19 virus, those who continue to battle the COVID-19 virus. We keep in our thoughts and prayers all of our frontliners, especially our teachers, especially our pharmacists who continue to help push out the vaccine throughout our community. Of course, our first responders and our police. We also keep in our thoughts and prayers the bravest men and women the world has ever known, those serving in the United States military, protecting our freedoms. Thank you.
Amen.
Do introductions quickly again. My name is Matt Slater, Town Supervisor for the Town of Yorktown, joined by Councilman Vishnu Patel, Councilman Ed Lachterman, Councilwoman Alice Roker, Councilman Tom Diana. We have our Town Clerk, Diana Quast. We are also joined by our Town Attorney, Adam Rodriguez. A couple of announcements to make tonight. We're going to start on the COVID side. Last week was a very busy week for the Town of Yorktown. We vaccinated over 1,000 people utilizing several pop-up vaccine clinics. I want to thank once again our County Executive, George Latimer, and our Commissioner of Health, Shalita Amler, Chris Steers of the Department of Health as well, who was instrumental, and of course, our Town Clerk, Diana Quast, who was a great partner as we advocated for local pop-up clinics here in the Town of Yorktown. We had over 720 people come through in 2 days at the Cappellini Center. It was to see the relief on people's faces. We had people coming in crying. They were just so elated and felt so liberated to get this vaccine. It was really special to be part of it. And then on top of that, I again want to thank the Cow family of Save More Drugs based in Croton. They came in on Wednesday this past week, and they vaccinated 250 individuals out of Jefferson Village. And then on Thursday, they went up to Beaver Ridge, and then they went over to Wynwood Oaks. And I believe that we have at least nearly completed the vaccinations for both of those facilities, or all three of those facilities, Jefferson Village, Wynwood Oaks, and Beaver Ridge with their help. And then on top of that, they came back again on Saturday to the Cappellini Center, and they vaccinated another 100 people. And so to the Cow family, longtime Yorktown residents, thank you doesn't say it enough. It really doesn't. And if you think that was enough, they're coming back this Thursday at the Cappellini Center with another couple of 100 Moderna vaccines for our community. I want to remind folks that you can go on to yorktownny.org, and we have a link for those to sign up to receive the vaccine. I want to go over the parameters, though, because it's important to note while there are state-approved the state's approved individuals to get the vaccine, since we're partnering with a pharmacy, the pharmacies only are allowed to do certain individuals. And those individuals are anyone over the age of 60 or any school district employee, both faculty and staff, as well as any higher education employee. Also, school bus drivers are eligible as well. And so we've reached out to our school districts to make sure that all of our teachers and staff are able to receive the vaccine, those who want it. And of course, we've also reached out to the bus companies. And so again, for those listening or watching tonight and beyond tonight, you can go on to yorktownny.org. You'll see the link on the homepage, and you can sign yourself up, and our staff will coordinate with you upon availability. I also want to thank and announce that Taconic Pharmacy, located in Jefferson Valley, has also come to partner with the town. And on Saturday, this Saturday, they will be offering 150 vaccines, again, at the Albert A. Capellini Community and Cultural Center. So there's a very real possibility that we'll be vaccinating another 500 people this week alone, which is an incredible achievement. Again, just like with Save More Pharmacy, the Taconic Pharmacy parameters are the same. So that's anyone over the age of 60, any employee of a school district, both faculty and staff, second or higher education, and of course bus drivers. So again, you can go back to that website, or you can call Town Hall here, 914-962-5722. You can reach either my office at extension 201, or you can reach out to the clerk's office as well. I also want to mention Noreen O'Driscoll, director of our senior services program. I call her the guardian angel of seniors because she has been just incredible, and she's been a great help as well as we've not only with Jefferson Village, Beaver Ridge, and Wilmot Oaks, which is our three senior living facilities, but she's just been a great help overall as we've organized this. So again, to Noreen and her staff, a big thank you. Again, anyone with questions, feel free to give us a call here at Town Hall. We're happy to help anyone looking for that Moderna vaccine. Again, this Thursday, it would be from starting at 9:30 this Thursday and 9:30 on Saturday. Just also know you need an appointment. You can't just show up. So please, if you could, jump on the website or give us a call, and we're more than happy to help get you there. We had our Parks and Recreation brochure released today. We're very excited about that. The Easter egg hunt is already seeing a great response. The 11 a.m. slot is already full. To Jim Moderano, our Parks and Rec superintendent, and our Parks and Rec staff doing another great job. Also, what I'm really excited about, one of the things that we were able to get off the ground last year before COVID was the Community Pass platform. So you can do all your registrations for our programs right online, and that makes it a lot easier for everybody. And so we're happy to be implementing that. Spring programming for seniors is open now for residents only. And for the general public, the programming signups will begin on March 30th. Also, for my fellow parents, beginning April 1st, Thursday, April 1st at 9:30, we'll begin camp registration for the summer camps, for the town summer camps here in the town of Yorktown. And we anticipate pool signups to be opened up in May. And again, these are all being done in very COVID-safe ways in compliance with Department of Health rules and regulations. Every step of the way, we are making sure that we are, in fact, in compliance with the latest guidance from our partners in the county and state departments of health. We heard, I think it was last month, that the safety audit at our playgrounds was performed. And we had several of our playgrounds closed as they were upgrading them based on those safety audits. Happy to report that Fox Den has been opened now. Sparkle Lake Playground will be opened on Friday. My son's going to be thrilled to hear that. And the Junior Lake Playground is scheduled to be opened on March 26th. Those are the next two. And then there'll be more to come after that. We did, as all those who remember, we did partner with Weston and Sampson to update the cement lining project that we were discussing with our water department. They came and did a presentation to the board. We did receive a draft of their final report. We'll be working with our water superintendent, Ken Rundle, and our town attorney and finance department to finalize what's needed. But we are very happy with the results. Again, the report does recommend that the relining take place with an estimated cost of $3.9 million for when all said and done. And so we are looking forward to hopefully taking this report and applying for some significant grant dollars through the EFC as well. As a reminder, our friends from O'Connor Davies are here performing their annual audit. So our finance department is having a lot of fun these days with our auditors here. but we are very confident in the good job that they're going to do. I also am happy to announce that the Arbor Day Foundation has once again recognized Yorktown as a Tree City USA. And so we'll be sharing this with our friends over on the Tree Commission. And of course, Arbor Day is coming up, and we are hoping to have some type of virtual event to recognize Arbor Day over at the John C. Hart Memorial Library next month. The last thing I wanted to just mention, again, regards to Parks and Rec, there are summer job availabilities that are listed on the town's website. So for anyone looking for summer jobs this summer, please feel free to jump onto yorktownny.org, check out the Parks and Rec page, and you can find not just the brochure, but the summer job listings that are available. And that concludes my report to the town. We'll go over to reports from the town board. We'll start with Councilman Patel.
Well, the daylight saving has come up upon us. So guys, early to bed, so the school bus does not have to wait too long when you have to go to school. Let me just start saying something really, really good, that thank you to the Congress for passing the COVID relief rescue bill. Really, I mean, this is going to help so many of our Yorktown residents, and it's a difficult year, but we are seeing some light at the end of the tunnel, and hopefully things will move better for all the people of the world, as well as we are here at home in Yorktown. So, and the second thing I want to mention, I have a friend who is a PE, the construction engineer, is a civil engineer, and I have taken with him several times, and I've been watching that culvert, on a Veterans Road, and it's really good, And I have a very satisfactory answer from those guys, those who are working in the presence of the civil engineer. So it was really a wonderful job. Now the second bridge is, being worked on the Hill Boulevard. So I'm going to go over there with him to see, hey, he's free, okay? And he's a taxpayer in Yorktown, and he'd love to see something good happen in Yorktown. So that's my shortest day of the summary of the week. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Patel. Councilman Lachterman.
Very good. Thank you, Supervisor. So I wanted to just mention a couple things. First, I wanted to thank everyone that came out to support the American Legion and the Sons of the American Legion with their corned beef dinner fundraiser. I would especially like to throw a special thank you to Chef Rob on Wheels, who actually does something right in he rents a space right in the town hall parking lot, the commuter lot. Did all of the corned beef, the soda bread, did an amazing job, put in a tremendous amount of hours. He was doing it in memory of his grandfather who served during World War II. And Rob is his son, as well as a few other people that we may know on here. But we thank him for that, and thank everyone who came out in the community. It was a very successful event, and the Legion, the members of the Legion are just so appreciative. I know that they've been overwhelmed by the outpour from the community for everything that they've asked and everything they've needed. While we talk about those in need, the Yorktown Lions Club, which you could find their website, yorktownlionsclub.com. Every year they do 6 scholarships within the school systems. This year they're doing a generator raffle. So I was asked to share that information. They're raffling off a dual fuel generator, so it could take either gasoline or propane. I think it's a 750 watt generator. We were fortunate enough to work with Home Depot for a donation, so we thank them for that. And you could see the raffle on yorktownlionsclub.com, or just get in contact with any of the Yorktown Lions. And Matt, I have to apologize because I went to play with the lights. I don't know if you've mentioned or not, but I would like to throw a special thank you out to my wife, Carol, during those COVID pop-ups. She arranged her schedule to take off work. and came down and helped. Matter of fact, she was supposed to go in on Saturday, and then when the pop-up came, she canceled going to work and went in on Sunday instead. So, I really appreciate it's not easy being the spouse of someone who's in public office. And you know what? She came through in spades and really did a great job. So thank you, Carol.
Thank you, Carol. Yep, and all of our volunteers who helped us out throughout those busy days.
Yes.
Okay, Councilwoman Roker, report to the town.
Yeah, we have in Yorktown so many ordinary people who do extraordinary things. So such a big thank you to the families of the that provided the vaccines for the seniors, and for all of the volunteers who worked to help to make sure they got through it. I went to a presentation last week from Yorktown for Justice, and I wanted to thank them because it was called An Evening with Vinnie Bagwell. I'd never heard of Vinnie Bagwell. She is a sculptor. She is based in Westchester County. She does what's called public art. She has been commissioned by so many communities throughout Westchester County and further up New York State. I think the last one being Montgomery. She has several works in New York City. She goes as far out as Boise, Idaho, Norfolk, Virginia. And what she does, she goes to a community and she begins a conversation with the residents. And you don't have to be an historical figure for her to do a statue of you. You have to be someone that the community believes people should know about. And hopefully our new Arts and Cultural Committee will have presentations like that, because I'd never heard of public art before. And it was wonderful, and I thank them for inviting me.
Great, thank you very much. Councilman Diana?
Thank you, Supervisor. Very short and sweet. First of all, happy early St. Patty's Day to everybody out there. And I'd also like to thank everybody that came out to the Sons of the American Legion corned beef and cabbage fundraiser. It was really a great event, and it did help a bunch of veterans keep heat in their building, quite frankly. And also to all the folks that donated on that GoFundMe page that they had. Yeah. That was a very big success, very big success. And Rob Del Bazo, you did a great job as usual. Thank you so much. And to all the sons that were there helping and getting it ready, thank you guys, because you do a heck of a job. You too, Ed.
Oh, thank you, Bob.
That's it. It's all
I'm getting pretty good at my Irish soda bread.
There you go.
Well, we got to work on that,
No,
we'll go into that later.
I'll bring you my latest love.
Okay.
We do have a report from our Highway Superintendent Paganelli that I'm happy to touch upon. Actually, Councilman Patel had mentioned a couple of these, but the Greenwood Street culvert project has been completed, and we're very happy about that. Veterans Road is expected to be completed next week. Of course, that's weather permitting, but it is expected to be completed, fully paved and completed by the end, of next week. And these are all parts of the nearly $5 million in infrastructure upgrades that have been made in the last year. And so our highway superintendent thanks everyone for their help and their patience, and they continue to do a great job. And as an aside, I did forget, since we were speaking of our veterans, that the VA Hudson Valley is now having walk-in COVID-19 vaccine clinics and this is at both the Montrose and Castle Point campuses. And this is now all veterans, regardless of age, are now eligible. And that's all veterans, regardless of age, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m. So again, that's all veterans, either at Montrose here in Westchester or Castle Point up in Dutchess, 8:30 to 2:30 Monday through Friday, you can walk in and get your COVID-19 vaccine. Councilman Patel?
May I just say something? I was, excuse me, I attended the Zoom meeting of the Association Town of Westchester County, WMOA, and there was a guest speaker from New Rochelle and two other communities that discuss about the police reform and like that. And I think Yorktown was, just sort of in a number was really good, that we have a diversity in the police department, and many of the programs, some of discussed, we are a little bit ahead, and it was really very good, presentation from all the three police department head. And very nice. There was some issue of hiring the people and with the within the town, and people, we just decide on our own versus going to the list from the county and all that. And I think we should also have some kind of discussion to see whether we can have a power ourselves to who we can hire and like that. It was very nice. It was very nice presentation, because I go over there and I have not missed it. And the only reason I go over there, because I learned something really good, which you may not learn here anywhere else, because everybody is different, Now, the supervisor, there is another question I would like to ask you is, this COVID, the recipient, is there any way they can download one form themselves? Because this will save some time, to process this vaccine procedure, because if they bring their own form, with the name and everything else, those you can, because you have to know who is coming there, who is registered like that, but we can sort of available to them from home, they can download and all, that will be really big help,
Yeah, I can tell you, I can't speak for the state-run sites, but I can tell you that for the ones that we've partnered with the pharmacies on, that upon their confirmation, our staff does send them the PDF of the form that's needed, and then they are able to fill it out ahead of time before coming in. So we are doing that, especially for this Thursday and this Saturday, to cut down on the wait time for people. Again, I can't speak to the state sites because we don't have anything to do logistically with how they are run, but that's something that we learned from last week and that we've already implemented. And as we continue to provide these pop-up clinics here in Yorktown, we'll continue to try to do our best to streamline that process.
But the state, when you fill up the application, they sell you the form. You have to fill it in, and they have a barcode. So it's really good. The only problem is those who do not have access to the computer, and less, availability of the computer help to those individual seniors and like that. But when you go over there, let me tell you, all the volunteer and the people, they treat each and everyone like a royalty. If you have any issue with, handicap or senior citizen, I tell you, you don't have to wait for 1 second. It was really, really very nice experience. I was there, and it's really wonderful. So I want to thank each and everyone, anywhere and everywhere in the United States. Those volunteers, they deserve our, thanks. And we thank you and we honor you for your work. Each and every one, whether it's doctor, nurses, and those who are in the military reserves, very, very nice experience. People were really praising it. Didn't have to wait, and a very good setup. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Councilman Patel. All right, we'll go on with our agenda here, and we have a presentation from the Alliance for Safe Pig. So I think we're going to welcome Liz Talbert. Hi, Liz. I was actually with Liz and Chief Noble earlier this week as we talked about Hope Not Handcuffs because they have their training coming up. Correct, Liz?
Yes, it's actually tomorrow.
Right around the corner.
Yeah.
So please go ahead. I know you have a presentation for tonight.
Great. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me here tonight. I wanted to share with the community that there is a virtual presentation next week that I would like to invite everyone to. It's on Wednesday, March 24th at 7 p.m. And the title of the presentation is You Don't Know Me Until You Know Me. And the presenter is Dr. Michael Fallon, or Mikey, as he likes to go by. Mikey is a psychologist, he's an actor and a poet, and he uses his professional training and his talents to create a moving experience through his storytelling. And he has been in Yorktown before. We had brought him to present at Mildred Strang Middle School years ago, and he was our keynote speaker for Save a Life a few years ago. And he also visited the Lakeland High School community. So he knows Yorktown, and I have had the opportunity to sit in the middle school while he presented to, the preteens, to obviously be at Save a Life and see how he connected with the high school students and the adults. And I just knew that it would be incredibly valuable to bring him back to our community at this time to do a virtual presentation. I don't want to tell you too much about his presentation because it's so engaging. And as I said, he uses his many talents to kind of draw you in. And he tells different stories, uses different characters, and you really find yourself connecting with these characters, learning about the differences that you may, that you may have from them. But then you end up kind of looking within yourself and thinking about how you may want to consider being more inclusive, more empathetic. So it's a very powerful presentation, and it's perfectly, it's geared toward preteens through adults of all ages. It's not a teenage program, and I really want the community to understand that any adult would clearly come away from this presentation learning something of value. So I would just encourage everyone to register. The link is on our website, allianceforsafekids.org. It's also on the town calendar. If you took a look on March 24th, they can just click on it and register there. We are giving community service hours to students for attending because I feel like it's that important. And by them participating, they are performing a service. And we are, I also want to let you know that for the registrants, so far are not just exclusive to Yorktown. We have people registered from all corners of the county, which makes me really happy because I think that's going to lend to a great Q&A. We'll have lots of different voices in the Q&A, but you know what? We don't just want to empower Yorktown because we want everyone that we interact with on a regular basis all around us, in the county and beyond, to benefit from a presentation like this. Then what we're going to do is, after the presentation, a survey will be sent out because we had a focus group last month, and I had some high school students, some college students, and a variety of adults in the community. And Dr. Fallon was kind enough to meet with us, and we had a Zoom focus group, and some great conversations were had. And what we were talking about there was what comes next, what comes after this presentation, because again, it is so thought-provoking. And I would hope that even perhaps like families would sit and watch it together and have conversations within their own home, but then as a community, as we digest that information, there has to be ways that we can come together and have further conversations. So we talked about a few different things, restorative conversation being one of them, which, we heard a lot about people wanting to feel safe where they were talking. So, we thought about facilitated conversations, perhaps discussing this with the faith-based community and moving forward. But I just want everyone to know this isn't like a one and done, like here's a presentation, now do with it what you will. We're really going to have some community action to follow up, but we need that feedback from the community. That's going to be so helpful. So again, it's next Wednesday, the 24th, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. The registration is on our website, allianceforsafekids.org. It's on the town calendar. And if anyone has any questions at all, please, I encourage them to email me at liz@allianceforsafekids.org.
Great.
Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Liz. It's always
Thank
great.
you, Liz.
Councilman Patel, you have a question?
Yes, because of this COVID, so many of our community, senior and adults and children, they have many difficulty. It's just not only the drug and alcohol, but also psychological impact. So anyway, we can help, it will go a long way. This is a very difficult time for the entire community and around the world. So we all should get together, do whatever part to make a better town and better place to live for all.
Right.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, if I may just add, obviously I wanted to tell you about what was happening next week, but I also wanted to remind you that we're working with a college group of volunteers that are working on a wellness resource guide. We're working with the Youth Mental Health Project, and there's a parent support network meeting that is happening this Thursday. And you may just go to the Ask website or email me for the information about that. I'm working with, I was in contact with the Department of, the County Department of Community Mental Health today, because we want to bring a virtual youth mental health first aid training to the community. So there's, and we're also working with the Student Assistance Services counselors. We have been getting resources to the local food pantries, so they could be handed out to the people that are taking advantage of those services. So we're keenly aware that everything is connected, but we still have to address substance abuse prevention, mental health. We still have work to do in these areas. So there are definitely things that we are working towards. And I'd also like to take the opportunity to again thank the county and the town for their support that is allowing us to move forward in these coming months, to really continue with these initiatives and to continue to bring important resources to the community.
Liz, do you want to mention a little bit more on, in addition to all those incredible things that you're doing, again with Hope Not Handcuffs and tomorrow's training?
Absolutely. So Hope Not Handcuffs is an initiative that was developed in, I believe it was Michigan in about 2018. And the thought behind it was, let's help someone who's in trouble. Let's help someone who is struggling with addiction. We just don't want people to just end up in trouble because they're suffering. So this initiative allows someone who might be struggling with substance abuse to go to a participating police department, which Yorktown is and has been since the fall. It was the first one in Westchester County to participate with this initiative, and they would let whomever it is in the police department let them know that they're there for help, that's what they're why they're there. They would then call an angel volunteer who would come to the police department. So they're in a safe space meeting with this person, but you don't have to be a trained substance abuse counselor or a mental health worker. You're really just there as a support to help this person that's struggling as they're going through the next step of looking for services to help them. Now, there is a training tomorrow, but we had their deadline was actually last Friday for applicants, because they had to allow time to vet the volunteers, because there is a vetting process, obviously. But the trainings are ongoing. So there will be another training coming up. And as soon as I have that date, I will definitely share it with the community. I also just want to add, so if you become a volunteer angel, what you do is you sign up on a schedule and you say, I can be available during this 4-hour block, or 2 hours here, 2 hours there. So you set it up dependent on your availability. And so, you may or may not get a call, but you have, you're ready to go if you do get one. And I just think that so many times, I feel like people can become overwhelmed. They hear about the statistics, which you pointed out when we spoke last week, Matt, that have just been rising due to COVID. People, have just been under so many different stresses, and not everyone chooses the best way to relieve or manage that stress. So, and it can be overwhelming. So, but as a community, we can realize that we can really be a part of the solution. And this is a very caring, thoughtful, gentle way for someone to be involved. So I applaud the Yorktown Police Department for being the first in the county. And now I think we have 12 more police departments. So that just says a wonderful thing for, the county as a community as a whole.
It's a great program. Chief Noble was the first one to bring it to Westchester County, and it's been growing. I think they had a seminar just yesterday. I think they had close to a dozen other Westchester County police departments that were with them. But the overdose rate continues to rise, especially during COVID, with all the challenges that people are facing. So this is a great way to give back to your community, help those in need. I can tell you that from having to deal with this situation during my time on staff in the Senate and being involved in the Senate's task force on opioid and drug abuse, is that people often, when they get to that window, that small window of wanting help, it's important to have someone there who can help guide them and navigate them to that next step, because a lot of times it's very, very challenging. And unfortunately, there's a lot of bureaucracy and people just don't know where to go.
Yeah.
This program is going to save someone's life. There's no doubt about it. And that's just a great thing to be a part of. And so for our community to be the first in Westchester to embrace it, bring it here, just really, I think, reflects the good nature of our community. And we started the Yorktown Cares Initiative. Again, this falls right into that whole realm. So again, to you and to Chief Noble, thank you so much for continuing this.
I'm so appreciative of this community, particularly Bob Noble, the police chief. Rather than condemn these people, he said, come in, we will find you help. And sometimes that's all someone needs to hear is,
right,
I'll help you. And I applaud the police department for doing what they do.
Yep.
I do also, Alice, and that whole thought process kind of harkens back to one of the speakers that Liz had at one of her presentations, and I believe it was Lakeland High School a few years ago, where the gentleman, if somebody would have said to him, let me help you, let me talk to you. I can't remember his name off the top of my head right now.
Yeah, I know.
But he wouldn't have jumped off that bridge.
Right.
Okay. Thank God he survived. But, if somebody would have said, come on, let's go get a cup of coffee, or what's wrong? What's bothering you? It would have, the outcome wouldn't have been what it was. And thank God he did survive, but he wouldn't have had to make that almost fatal plunge.
So that gentleman was Kevin Hines, and
Kevin Hines. That's it.
Yeah. I mean, his story is remarkable. And for those who don't know it, this man jumped off the Golden Gate Bridge and lived, and that is remarkable. And I was just talking to someone today because there was a local tragedy on the Bear Mountain Bridge, and his words just came back to me, where he said, as soon as my feet left that bridge, I just said, no, I don't want to die. Yeah. So Tom, to your point, he had made a deal with himself as he sat on the city bus on the way to the bridge. And he said, if one person just looks at me, smiles, says hello, some sort of human connection, I won't do it. And it didn't happen. And he jumped, and thank God he lived to tell his story, because he has touched so many people, around the world. But it was just a little gesture, that would have made the world of difference to him that day. Yep. Right. And it is just those little things. I was on a call with this wonderful group in White Plains. It's the White Plains Youth Bureau. They have a youth group called Keepers of the Dream. So I've been really excited because I've been bringing bringing them to the Zoom meeting, bringing some students from Yorktown to these meetings. And they had a presenter a few weeks ago, Mr. Levon Brown, and he was talking about his time as a freedom writer, and just the living history that these kids were experiencing was amazing. But one of the students asked him what they could do. What can I do right now? And he said, the smallest things will have the largest impact. Hug somebody, be a friend, have somebody's back, stand up for them. And I don't think that's what the student was expecting to hear, but he said it's all of these little things as we move forward, taking care of one another, that are going to make the greatest difference. And I love that response. And I just, can see that happening in so many ways, like this program that we're talking about, Hope for Handcuffs, just as an example.
Yeah, that's that program is run by Frank Williams, who was our keynote for the Martin Luther ceremony that we had, who's just an amazing individual, absolutely amazing individual. And he keeps having these on Tuesday nights, so we keep having a conflict.
He had one tonight at 6, so I was there at 6 and then came here because because you're blown away by these kids. It's youth led, it's adult facilitated and youth led, and these kids are so bright. And I don't mean to go off on a tangent, but they send out a list of different topics that they want to discuss. They vote on them, and then they get together, and have these Zoom meetings and talk once a week. And some Yorktown kids are now participating in it, which is great. So that's really, it's exciting.
It's awesome.
Exciting to see that happen.
That's so wonderful.
I just want to go full circle though, Liz, because this all goes back to the work that the Alliance for Safe Kids does in our town. And, I think of the mental health first aid class that I took, and that's actually where I first saw Kevin's story. And, it all comes around full circle, and, just the education to help people recognize someone who's in distress, someone who's having something that is so profound that they want to kill themselves, and being able to see it. And, Tom pointed out his saying, if just one person, and then I always remember the self-involved woman who runs up to him and says, wait, can you take
my picture?
Right.
Yeah.
The story.
I'm going to email him. I'm going to email him and let him know that, we are still talking about him in Yorktown. He's amazing. He's amazing.
He really is. And to be able to meet him in person was something. And
very powerful.
I know that NAMI had did a screening on his movie, but I didn't get to see that. So
yeah, I'm working on that. They have made it available, so I know, I was able to watch it, but what I would like to do is make it available so that the community can watch it. So that's on my to-do list. It's on the running list.
Let me know if I could help.
Absolutely. Thank you. And I also want to let you know, just because you mentioned the events coming up with the festivities with the egg hunt and the car parade, that I'm working on getting some Ask volunteers to help out at both of those events, and kids have been emailing me today. So you will have lots of, and they're so excited to do something in person.
Yeah.
We love the virtual volunteer opportunities that we've made available to them, but I was really excited to tell them that there were 2 in-person opportunities that they could safely, volunteer at. Yeah, they're excited.
I will tell you that whenever we're at a meeting and there's an event coming up and we need some volunteers, the first thing Carol says is call Trissy and Liz.
Liz, thank you very much. We appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you, everyone, so much.
I have a one 3 words, okay? You may never know. You may need that shoulder to lean on.
That is so true.
Yep. Absolutely, Councilman. Liz, thanks so much. Appreciate all you do.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Well.
Yeah, bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, we'll go to John McMullen, our poet laureate. John?
I wrote this 2 days ago on the anniversary of the declaration of coronavirus as an emergency. 1 year ago, March 13th, 2021, a year ago today, by coincidence, I wrote my first coronavirus poem. It ended with, in this war, we must develop all the weapons and strategies. Will we? Yes. But when? And how many casualties will we take? Who knows? Well, now, a year later, we do know. Over 500,000 dead in the country. Almost 50,000 dead in my state, New York. Over 300 in my town, Yorktown. For most of the year, we were fighting a war with an invisible enemy and losing. But my town had to get better than most. With regular reports from the governor and town supervisor, we understood the severity of the situation and were encouraged to be responsible. Mask wearing moved from an annoyance to a public service, and social distancing from an inconvenience to a way of life. And then vaccines arrived in record time, and former presidents of both parties publicly were injected to encourage all of us to do the same. I received my second shot of Moderna 2 days ago, and now should not die of coronavirus, nor should you once vaccinated. A year of tragedy, and now hope.
Amen.
Thank you, John. Great words.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll move over to courtesy of the floor. And before we begin, just a reminder again that we'll be turning this over to our town clerk. She will take the 3-minute clock. I don't know if she has it up on her screen today or not, but 3-minute time limit. So please keep your comments to 3 minutes. Also, as a reminder, you don't have to wait for a town board meeting to bring your concerns to the town board. You can just go to the town's website. All the info to reach any town board member is right there on yorktownny.org. And of course, you can always reach me any day of the week here at Town Hall at 914-962-5722, extension 200, or email me at mslater@yorktownny.org. Diana?
Our first speaker is Jay Kopstein.
Okay. Good evening, Mr. Kopstein.
Good evening, and I think I'll pass. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Kopstein. It was good seeing you. Next,
we're going to have Jenna Jaramillo.
Great.
Coming on.
Jenna, good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Good
Supervisor
evening.
Slater, ladies and gentlemen of the board, good evening, and thank you for allowing me time to speak. Thank you for all the great work that you're doing with the vaccinations and everything else. And I'm so happy to hear about the great work of all these local organizations, especially ASK and the youth programs for mental health. That's just incredible. So thank you so much. As you may remember, I was with you back in January as well, also speaking on the topic of Underhill Farms. Just for reference, the Avalon in Somers along the stretch of Route 6 in Baldwin Place is 152 units. That very big complex is 152 units with a 4,000 square foot clubhouse. Underhill Farms is set to be 165 units with 20,000 square feet of retail space. So I'm no development expert, but that sounds like too many units. Considering the location on an already congested corner, on marshy wetland, in an area that already deals with water main breaks, and I need not discuss the property's major historic significance. Ready for a pun? Pull the reins on unicorn. I understand that development is a good thing. A vacant lot is not ideal, but overdevelopment in the wrong place is not good either. So picture this, if you would, in a little imaginary journey. You've had a long day of work, keeping Yorktown wonderful, and you start to pull out of the parking lot of Town Hall. You look across the intersection to your left. What was once a serene view of the historic Soundview School building is now in the shadows of behemoth apartment buildings. You need to turn left, but you see cars backed up in all directions. The light has now changed twice because people at the front of the line can't seem to make their left turns. You hear frustrated honking because a 30-year resident of Underhill Avenue cannot get out of the driveway for the 3rd time this week. You're tired, so you turn right. You want to avoid that mess. I'm not just a homeowner around the corner. I'm not just a mom who's terrified of the increased traffic cutting through my neighborhood, the level of safety, how it will impact my young children who are encouraged to play outside and who'll be waiting for the bus on my street corner. I'm also a reasonable adult woman who sees with clarity that this development is being planned much too large. The short-term solution is to take Soundview property out of the overlay. Solid investigation into the impact on traffic and infrastructure must be done. Town residents are owed a clear explanation of the reasoning behind the plan as it stands now. And we need to look at this through the lens of resident, not just board member. In my hypothetical scenario, you turn right to avoid the traffic because it stinks. And that's a real reality coming forward. Please don't continue to push the plan forward without pulling it out of the overlay, having thorough due diligence done, and having a public hearing.
Thank you.
Is that my time?
Bennett, thank you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Come on.
I actually can't pronounce it now.
Did it listen to you, Diana?
I'll
It did.
It did. Good.
I gotta remember to mute. Our next speaker is Jenny and Tony Grasso.
But Tony's computer tech support is there.
Oh, let's.
Jenny.
Hi, Jenny and Tony.
Jenny, Tony, how are you? Good evening.
Fine, I'm gonna put Tony on. I'm just a technician here, that's all.
Hey, Jenny. Hey, Tony.
Hello, everybody. Great to see you.
Thanks, Jenny.
Give him a minute to sit.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, comfy.
Good, here we are. Hello.
Hello,
Nice.
Tony.
How are you?
Thank you, Diana.
No problem.
I was going to speak at the public hearing, but now that I'm here, I can do it anyway. First of all, the young lady that was there before you, speaking on the farm, must realize you haven't even seen the plan officially yet. It's only after that you have a public hearing and then several public hearings before this thing is even talked about. So I wish people would get their information first and quit rattling up the town on something that hasn't even happened yet. Anyway, that's my comment there. On the comment of the Coalition for Community Safety from the state, I think you should unanimously approve that. It's a step in the right direction, and giving the access, the civilian access to the board, which we are the people elected, is the way to go. We don't know if you appoint boards where people have no knowledge of police work or what a policeman has to go through to do his job. In my case, I was trained by Chief Morgan and the police as to what to do in the short term that I put on the board. And during that term, I felt like I was a policeman because of the training. And civilians should be the last call, and it should be the civilians that we, the people, elect. The only thing that I think was missing, you should encourage the state that all police departments be certified. I think it's an important step. I was told years ago by the late Al Capolini that it's important because when you get into court on a police matter, that is one of the things that the lawyers look for. And I think they still do. Having two attorneys in the family, they say when the police are involved and they're not certified, that's a shot to go after because they're not properly trained. So keep that in mind. There may be a supplement to this, or you can just pass it on, or the chief can pass it on at one of his meetings with the next step and go from there. Nice to see each of you this evening. My friend, she's smiling. Come on, Alice.
Thank you, Mr. Grasso. Great to see
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Tony.
We appreciate your time and your words tonight.
Good night.
Good
Thank
night.
you.
Next.
Our next speaker is Susan Siegel.
Great. Ms. Siegel, good evening.
Good evening to you all.
How are you,
evening.
Susan?
I have some questions about Unicorn Contracting's commitment to provide parking on the Soundview site for the planned senior center at on the Beaver Ridge property. But first, I'd like to read a provision of the agreement that the town signed with Beaver Ridge in November. Beaver Ridge shall not be required to design or build the senior/community center building until such time the building access and parking are secured by the town on the Soundview property. Once access and parking approvals are obtained in writing by the town and provided to Beaver Ridge shall proceed along the following schedule. And then it lays out a schedule of what it will do at each step. Pursuant to that provision, I have some questions. Is Unicorn's commitment to providing the parking tied to either the town board or the planning board approving the current Underhill Farms plan for 165 units and 20,000 square feet of commercial space? I'd also like to ask what happens if either the town board or the planning board thinks that the current plan is too dense and wants to see changes in the plan? And do we know if Unicorn will continue to provide the parking if either the town board or the planning board wants to approve a lower density plan or wants to see some changes to the site plan? Those are my questions. And as this is Sunshine Week, which celebrates open government, I would very much appreciate your answering those questions in the spirit of openness and transparency. And let me just add that as a member of the Committee for a Sound Plan for Soundview, if there was any residents watching the town board meeting, if they'd like more information about the Soundview property and the Underhill Farms plan, they can email our committee at soundviewplan@gmail.com. That's soundviewplan@gmail.com. Thank you. I look forward to the questions. I'm sorry, to the answers to the questions.
Thank you, Ms. Siegel.
Next, we have Patricia Sullivan Rothberg.
Good evening, Town Board members.
Good evening.
Hi. I want to quote, it has been found and determined that there is a need for, and I'm quoting from the first line of the proposed design district overlay. The real question we should be asking is why the town is implementing the design district overlay in the first place. But let me just restate that proposed law again. It has been found and determined that there is a need for. What has been found, by whom, when, and what was determined? Please show us the studies, the data, the analysis that quantifies, qualifies, and builds the case for the proposed overlay, because we haven't seen it, the residents. What we have seen with plans on websites that have been published is there are some facts. And here they are. What happened was the Yorktown Board has been creating legislation to accommodate unicorn contracting, calling it a design district overlay, permitting the developer a zoning change from an R1 single family to an R3 multiple family. And let's look at the sequence of events. On May 22nd of last year, Unicorn signed a contract of sale with Soundview for $2.5 million, with a contingency provision to pay Soundview an additional $350,000 if the town of Yorktown approved single to multi-family zoning for the property. 3 weeks later, on June 9th, the town board introduced plan design district overlay concept and directed the planning director to draft up the law. 3 weeks later, on June 30th, Unicorn published a plan revised, labeled R1 residential, proposed R3 residential Yorktown Heights plan district overlay, yet no such zone existed at the time. Then a couple of days later, on July 2nd, planning published the Yorktown Heights overlay zone boundary map, and suddenly the Soundview property was rolled up in it. It had never been before. Finally, on August 19th, Unicorn consummated the contract of sale with Soundview, paying an additional $350,000, bringing the total to $2.85 million. At the time of Unicorn's May 22nd contract of sale for the Soundview property, did the town of Yorktown make a legislative accommodation to Unicorn, permitting them, saying that they would rezone the property from single family to multiple family through the Hamlet Plan Design District overlay? Because these facts are staring us straight in the face that there has been an accommodation and there has not been time for the public to really weigh in. And I urge you to please take the Soundview property out of the design district overlay. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Next. Right at the buzzer.
Next, we have Alon Gilbert.
Great. Mr. Gilbert, good evening.
Good evening, everybody.
Hey,
Thank you for the courtesy of the floor. I want to first thank the town board and the town for the good work that you're doing with the vaccine. It's been tremendous. I've been trying to spread the word on Facebook. I do indicate when I do that I thank you all, give you credit for the work that you're doing, both the town, the county, and the public partnership, or private-public partnership. It's a great, great thing that you're doing. I also wanted to mention as number two, being home during the pandemic, especially, and also the fact I'm about to become officially a senior next month, turning 65. I wanted to alert the seniors and everyone actually that there is an inordinate amount of scams that are aimed specifically at seniors. I have been receiving calls regarding Social Security, my Amazon account, my credit card account, and as soon as I get them, I hang up. But I just want to alert again people that you are quite vulnerable, and you should be aware to just either use use your phone answering machine as a way of filtering through calls, or just simply don't pick up when you hear where the call is coming from. And they're tricky because they utilize or they hack local phone numbers too. So it makes it look like someone is calling you locally. I also want to mention that I participated with Alice, or attended with Alice, that wonderful presentation by the artist Vinnie Bagwell. She does community art and beautiful sculpture, and she's doing a walkway in Yonkers that she has been commissioned for that will be opening in June. It should be fascinating. But aside from that, one of the things that she's mentioned, and one of her is doing, tributes to African Americans throughout the state, throughout the country. And she mentioned that there was a paucity of statues regarding African Americans. And I mentioned, and I was very proud to do so, that Yorktown, in the Pines Bridge Monument, did honor a African American soldier in the American Revolution. And she was actually, I believe she was impressed by that fact. So we should be proud of the town, aside for the other many reasons why we should be proud of this town. I also wanted to mention this presentation by, again, it's been done already, but I'm stamping my request that everyone attend as best you can the presentation by the Alliance for Safe Kids. I saw this individual at the Save a Life a couple of years ago. He is amazing, and the presentation is amazing. So I would very, very much urge everyone to participate if they can. And finally, I just want to wish everybody, I don't know whether you're having a meeting next week. This is the fourth Tuesday of the month. I don't know if you're having one on the fifth Tuesday, but if not, there won't be an opportunity, at least from the TV's perspective, to say Happy St. Patrick's Day on St. Patrick's Day, Happy Passover, and Easter season to everybody. That's my wish to all.
You're a week early, Lonnie. This is only the third. This is the third.
Oh, it just seems that way, I guess.
Now, if we don't have a meeting, though, everyone can blame it on Lonnie because he.
There you go. Thanks, Lonnie.
Thank you, Mr.
You're
Gilbert.
welcome. Thank you.
Next, we have Sergio Esposito.
Okay. Mr. Esposito, good evening.
Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing?
Good. How about you?
Good.
Pretty good. I just wanted to make a couple of announcements on behalf of the chamber. A few weeks ago, we had our business diversity team put on a presentation, diversity in the workplace. That was on February 23rd. You could check it out on our website under business socials. We hired April Francis Taylor of ACF Equity Consulting. She did a really great job, and we have a few more presentations that we hired her for coming up in the near future. And so I just wanted to mention that if anybody wanted to take a look at that, I'd be happy to do that. On Thursday, March 18th at 6 p.m., we're having another business social, and it's going to be with Kathleen Macias Torres. She's the exec director of Spark, and she's going to be talking about situational leadership and leading through times of change. And the big one, and a couple of our members have attended, Lonnie, the Vinnie Bagwell presentation. I heard that was really good.
Yeah.
Our Arts and Cultural Committee, a joint effort with between the Chamber and the town, they actually had their first meeting on Friday. So if anybody has any information, I mean, I'm sure you could reach out to the town or you could reach out to the Chamber. And I'm looking forward to getting some information on how their first meeting went and some of the events. I heard it was quite interesting, and they had quite a number of ideas to kind of transition Yorktown into an arts place. So I'm excited about that. Anyway, happy holidays to everybody, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Esposito. Next.
Next, I have John Flynn.
Great. Mr. Flynn, good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening,
I
John.
wanted to just mention that the last time I spoke at Courtesy of the Floor, I was speaking about how the proposed legislation, the overlay zones, will make it zoning less predictable for homeowners. And your response to that was that one, that the planning board would be a good backstop for that process, and that we should let the process run its go through the process, and that will solve all the problems. And I wanted to return to that because my experience working on the planning board is somewhat different than you assumed. The most important difference is that the planning board will basically start with not with a blank piece of paper like the overlay zone gives it, but they start with a framework and parameters on what can be built on a particular site, and that's determined by the zoning ordinance. And when you remove the zone through an overlay district and give them a blank slate of paper, they're suddenly doing something that they've never done before. No planning board in the history of Yorktown has ever rezoned property by itself, and that's what the overlay zone gives them the opportunity to do. When a new project comes into the planning board, they are told, the first question that's asked is, what zone is it in? And from that flows exactly what can be done on that site. And then you move away from that macro question of what can be built on the site into all the nitty-gritty, the micro questions about stormwater runoff and side yard setbacks and landscaping plans, and all the Rich Fawn, the chairman of the planning board, is always fond of saying that the devil is in the details, and that's because that's what the planning board does. It works on the details of the site design and make sure that those are worked out, even to the point of how much fill is going to be brought in, how much fill is going to be taken out, things like that. And you're asking them now to suddenly turn around and start with no parameters, no framework, whatever the developer comes in that the board has decided, in somebody's word is an interesting project, is now what they have to work with. And to me, that maybe that'll work. The problem that I see is that it will work after a learning curve and after some trial and error and after some mistakes are made. And God knows I made some mistakes when I was on the planning board, and just because it's a very complex process. But if I had to start doing something entirely new, well, take a baseball analogy. That's why they have spring training. I've never seen a World Series victor skip spring training the next year, saying, "Well, we really had it together last year. We don't need any stink practice at spring training." No, they get down there and they work on doing new things, people moving to new positions, etc. And
John, your time's up.
Okay, I just wanted to just close by saying that the problem with this is that you're going to be using the gem of Yorktown, Underhill Farms, as your experiment, and you can't replay that one, folks. When they screw that up by trial and error, that you're going to have to live with it.
Thank you, Mr. Flynn.
Thank you, John.
That is all I have.
Okay, motion to close courtesy of the floor.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any comments from the board?
Go ahead, Matt. We'll let you lead, and then we'll probably follow after that.
I can jump in just because he
Okay.
was last. Mr. Flynn, I don't have an answer for you, but I thank you for giving us your understanding of this zone. Now it's up to me to see if I can get the same understanding you have.
Well, Alice, I'm pretty sure that from a point of view of it being blank, it's not blank. It comes through the town board first.
Well, I know that, Ed, and I get that, but I want to see why he believes that. The overlay zone requires us to focus on that, and I haven't had like an hour to myself, and once I do get it, I will focus. But I know it comes to the town board first. I get that. I suggested that.
You did.
And then we refer stuff out at that point.
Yeah. So I just wanted him to understand that I got what he said, and
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, you on?
Yes, certainly.
You want to take a stab at any of the questions that were raised regarding the parking lot for the?
Yeah, sure. So the town has to secure access and parking on the Soundview property to trigger Beaver Ridge's obligation to design and build the seniors and / community center. That has not yet happened. The other, I guess, question, this hypothetical of, if the project is approved, with some lower density amount than as, I guess, currently proposed, is a hypothetical. I couldn't say. There's really no way to answer that.
No, it's basically all a negotiation at that point. They'll negotiate with planning, and there'll be a negotiation on the parking.
Okay. Any other comments from the board?
Oh,
let me just, okay, go ahead.
This whole thing is still in its infancy and still has to be put down on paper and hashed out. And we have to get to it, and as soon as everything starts to come together, we'll be able to make more educated decisions.
I think we did refer it out, so we're waiting to see what the feedback is from the interested agencies.
Yep. I'd also probably refer any questions about the initial studies back to the initial master plan where this came out of. From what are we going now? 15 years, 16 years? Or 3, maybe 18 years.
Okay.
There you go. So Vishnu has it.
Right. Okay.
There we go.
And I spent 6 years. Okay. And at that time, I had the most brilliant people working and living in a town, and they had no interest other than to goodwill for the entire community.
Glad to hear that. So that answers that question. That's where the information is coming from. Thank you, Vishnu.
Okay.
Let me just say something. I want whatever is said and like that has to be in written so I can read it. If it is not, another can read it. So I'm learning it. This is the new way of doing it. And that's it. I'm not saying anything else, but I think the biggest responsibility should come from the town board, and because people have put us over here. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now, volunteer planning board, I have a highest respect because they are not cheap. They are priceless. They put their time and energy to, and their expertise to guide us. But if something goes wrong, they will sue the town, and we are responsible for that. Okay, that's it. I don't want to say anything more.
Thank you, Councilman. So we'll go on to personnel. We'll accept the retirement of Robert Ireland from the Highway Department. Motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? None. We have a public hearing decision. This is to adopt the Yorktown Coalition on Community Safety Engagement Plan under Executive Order 203. I do want to make a point that we did add. I want to make sure I find it here. We did add 2 points that were made from the public hearing. That included the state's right here, the state to advocate the state to modify and enhance its data collection capabilities at traffic stops. That was one of the things that we heard a lot about. And according to Chief Noble, what if the state would update its tech or its programs so that when they swipe the license, it already populates the fields, that would make it much more efficient and effective, especially on traffic stops. We also added, there was a concern about that we heard regarding, well, what's next? And so we did add a second parameter, which states that the chief of police will present to the town board on an annual report every February, sharing for the previous calendar year the arrest data, use of force statistics, training data, and any policy changes implemented.
Yeah.
Those basically takes the really I think impressive presentations that the chief made, and instead of making them once every 5 years or 6 years or when ordered by the governor, he'll make it every year to show the residents of Yorktown, again, using the data, the good work that they've got done and how forward-thinking our police department continues to be. And so those are the 2 additions that were made in addition to the original 8 points by the CCSE.
Right.
I'm
So
sure the chief.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm sure the chief cringed a little bit when you said every Friday.
Did you see that?
Yeah, he wouldn't like that very much, would he?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Councilman Patel.
You know, the last week's Thursday, the Westchester Municipal Association, and I asked the questions, you know, that there was a report from the county and many of those villages, police, head of the police department, they are agreed that some of the things are really, they were comparing, you know, which town, bigger town and a smaller town and a smaller police force. And I think we have a few things little bit more than those towns. So we should be very proud of that.
Absolutely, I agree. I've been in similar conversations with other elected officials, specifically about this topic and some of the responses and some of the culture changes that they've seen within their community and within their police department because of this review. And I'm very happy to say that I don't think that we are experiencing the same. And I think a lot of that and most of that goes to the credit of Chief Noble and his officers because they do a great job. So we'll make a motion if there's no other discussion.
Can I just one more thing?
Yes.
Tony Grasso said something today that I thought was really, and I don't know how to incorporate that into this, but it is really difficult when we were talking about the fact that we can only look at our little police department and, you know, and it's a certified police department, which is very different from other police departments. If there was one standard and they all were the same, be a lot simpler. So I don't know whether or not it's smart to advocate that police departments in New York State become certified, because we know that in our community, we have police officers that constantly undergo training versus other police departments. I don't know if that's such a thing we can do, but I don't think it's a bad thing because you know what? What did it say? 39% of the police departments in New York are certified?
I think it was even less.
Yeah,
really?
It's like way less.
Way less.
Wow. Wow.
Why don't we add then, in addition to the 2, be it further resolved, the town shall advocate, and 2, the chief of police will present to the town board every February. Why don't you want to add a third that states, and 3, the town of Yorktown. encourages all police agencies to become accredited under DCJS?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, we'll amend it and include that. Okay. Any other discussion?
Nope.
No. All right. Then I'll make a motion that we adopt the Yorktown Coalition on Community Safety and Engagement Plan under Executive Order 203.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I also want to just once again thank members of the CCSE. As Councilman Patel said about our planning board, our members of our CCSE are equally as priceless because they are volunteers, and they put a lot of time and effort into this, a lot of focus into this, and I think that we did in fact comply with the spirit of Executive Order 203, and I do want to once again thank them for their participation and leadership within our community. Next, we're going to convene a public hearing to consider a wetlands and tree permit application submitted by Marshall Saunders for a dam repair and replacement work to be done at Illington Road.
Yep. And I'm on.
And we have Marcia.
Hi, Marcia.
Hi,
Marcia.
everybody. So nice to see you guys.
Good to see you.
Yep. I'm the owner of the property in Illington Road, and with me tonight is Peter Scott, who's the architect and engineer on the project. And I feel like I have to start off these meetings thanking you all, for all your help and support over the years. We started this, I think it's almost 20 years now ago, we started this project. And we started with a cemetery that we continue to restore. And now tonight, back, hopefully get the final approvals on the dam and pond repairs. The permitting process on the dam and the pond repairs itself has taken almost 2 years. We've had to go out to, I think it's 22 separate agencies, but we do have all the permits from the DEC, the DEP, Department of the Interior, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Department of Homeland Security, New York State Parks. We had to go out to a Native American tribe. And now the final work with you all tonight. We also have the draft approval conditions letter from the Yorktown Engineering Department, and we have approvals from several Yorktown subcommittees. So Peter's going to explain the details of the repair project, but these plans are the result of all that work we've done collectively over the last 2 years with all these different agencies and committees. Along with the repairs to the dam, the property does have invasive species that we're going to be removing and replacing with DEP and DEC approved plantings. And the urgency now, as we mentioned at the last meeting, is Yorktown, lucky for all of us, is home to long-eared bats, which come out of their caves and into the trees in April. So we do have some approved trees to cut. Some of them are already falling into the pond. Some of them are required to be removed by regulation because they're too close to the dam structure. And as you all know, it was fallen trees that caused the dam failure to begin with. So in any case, because of the bats, under regulation, we're not permitted to cut trees after April 1st. So we appreciate all your help getting this, and to Diana and Maura as well for helping us get this to this point. Because if we don't have the trees cut by April 1st, we basically have to wait an entire year to do it, to get it done. So let me just pass it over to Peter for details of the plan. But thank you again all so much for this. We're really excited to finally see it come to fruition. So Peter, if I could pass it over to you, please.
Thank you, Marcia.
Of course.
Peter?
Yes, if you could invite me in here.
Yep, we've got you.
You're there. We got you.
We got you.
So basically, the plans are available for reviewing. Would you like me to share that with the board at this point in time?
If you'd like to share your screen, you can.
Sure. Thank you. In front of you, we see the dam itself. As we've described to you, a dam failed at this location, but still remnants of it remain in terms of components in the ground, dam components, and basically the form exists at this point in time. For reference purposes, there's a cemetery that Marcia mentioned to you is right here.
Right.
Ellington Road is along the western side of the project. It's the apex of numerous rivers and streams that come together, extend through the site currently in this direction, and off to the north through a wetland extending over to a new reservoir, which is far to the north. The project itself consists of removing trees, which were the bane of the last dam project. And then we're going to build earthen berms in locations here and here. We have access ways to service the dam. The dam itself is 83 feet long. It holds 229,000 gallons of water. It's approximately 8 feet high, and the standing water depth in an arc in this location is approximately a maximum of 6 foot deep. The dam itself has a spillway system where once static water levels are reached within the dam, the water cascades down through a sluice, a channel, and discharges off to the north. That'll always be running, so you'll see water cascading across the dam face in this location. Per DEC requirements, we've added a drain down pipe for emergencies where we can actually open this valve and drain the pond down in under 48 hours if an emergency so exists within the dam itself. We've also add many items for DEC and DEP. They include a forebay, access roadways, storage areas, etc. The principal portion of the project basically is we had to put in an extensive planting regime around the perimeter of the dam, and that basically consisted of 1,500 plants to satisfy various requirements for such a pond. In addition, we went before the Conservation Board and explained the situation where you can't put trees back in place around a dam. It has to be only small herbaceous vegetation plus seeding. And so Marsh and I came up with a plan where we're going to put Norway spruce along the frontage of the property alongside Illington. And we have an array of Norway spruce, which get to be about 20-foot diameter, 50 feet tall. And they would definitely provide shading for our wetland plants, but also create a buffer in the future, a nice evergreen buffer. And they're on her property, not within the right-of-way, of course. And then in front of the cemetery, we're going to put a holly, a buffering in place to basically give it some protectionary measures. We will have a gate located here and here so that people don't use it as a late night spot. And it'll be safely secured then with these components of trees, a couple small gates, and it'll be pretty much out of sight, out of mind per se. But it does have many functions, and there's a big report on that if anyone wants to look at it. It does treat the water. It helps the watersheds to the north. And because it's a heavily eroded corridor of streams, we will be maintaining a big forebay here for perpetuity. And then an engineer will be coming here, certified engineer in dam safety. I happen to be one of those. And we will look at that dam every year with an inspection. The town engineer will get a report, and the DEC will get a report, and Marshall will get a report. So it's not going to fall into disrepair in its last life cycle. This will be maintained, again, as required by the permits that we've received. The dam is one large clump of concrete, basically, And so it's very inert. There's no damage of any or potential of any failures at all. It's a very safe and stable structure. We did receive a stormwater and wetland permit, a draft copy today. I spoke to Dan about the project. And again, he recommends a performance bond, which we have no problems with. We've given the town all the various permits for the project. And we would have a pre-construction meeting before we do any work on the site. We flagged all the trees that will be removed. We'll review that with Dan at his earliest convenience. Again, as Marcia said, we want to cut the trees before the bats show up. You can do a bat study, but in this instance, it would be difficult because of the accessibility of some of these trees to look at, because some of these trees are at high angles of failure. They're actually falling into the pond as we speak. So the faster we can get rid of them, the better it would be for all. That's my presentation. Can I answer any questions?
Questions from the board?
No, but I just want to thank Marcia for her tenacity on this project. I don't know how many years this has been going on between her and her mom, and I'm glad to see it's getting going. Let's get those trees down. You got to get down before those bats decide to do what they got to do.
No, thank you. It's a great project. It's a very old piece of property, right? The cemetery goes back to the 1700s, and the dam, part of the dam is actually earthen, right? Stone, and so it's very old. And just there's so much neat history around Yorktown. So it's just a. But thank you all for your support. It's great.
Councilman Patel.
Masha, we should share, or I should share credit with your mom, okay?
Absolutely. No,
wonderful.
Thank and she does. She likes to do cement and stonework herself. So we're just lucky that she's not offering to build the dam by hand. So
I lived on Ellington Road 6 years when I started IBM, and it's a really beautiful place. First thing I saw was the T-Town and then the dam. And now this your dam I didn't know until long time recently, like maybe 5, 7, 8, 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's a wonderful, beautiful place to live there. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Peter, did you get a copy of the March 12th Tree Commission memo?
I did not. No, I did not receive that.
Okay. Is Dan Ciarci on? Danny?
I'm here.
Did you have a chance to review the Tree Commission memo?
I guess I don't believe I saw that.
All right. Well, I just want to make sure.
I didn't see it.
So I guess their issue is I think that we can come to a reasonable conclusion here. But the protected tree is having a diameter according to Chapter 270. Did the board receive this memo?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I just want to make sure everyone saw it. Chapter 270 defines a protected tree as having a diameter of 8 inches or greater. However, the application materials in the tree removal permit section shows 21 trees removed with diameters of 6 to 18 inches. As trees under 8 inches in diameter are not regulated under Chapter 270, compliance with non-administrative permitting requirements are needed to ascertain if permitting thresholds are exceeded under 270-6A subsection 1. This will also determine if any of the 21 trees mentioned in the application are exempted from regulation because they may be designated invasive species, and they reference 270-5 subsection B. Peter, can you comment on that just to help?
Yes, I wrote a letter to the commission, and I copied your offices as well. There's various layers of permitting for a dam.
Right.
Unfortunately, we have to remove the trees. There's no wavering on that at all. So for the safety of the dam, for now and the future, we have to remove the trees.
Right.
And Marcia has proposed the array of the Norway spruces along the entire front of the property itself. And so our position is, while there is a specific regulation, if the dam had been maintained and the trees weren't allowed to grow like they should have, we wouldn't have a problem we have today.
Right.
Kind of like who came first, the ordinance or our problem with the dam itself. So
right.
I think we have complied in the spirit of your regs. And again, we're mandated by DEC with our permits to remove the trees immediately. So we're looking for the board to intervene on our behalf.
Yeah, I think I looked at it that way too. I got the tree commission's memo, but as you went through the steps you took and you spoke about the fact that you had to remove all of the trees within the dam, to me it looked like the DEC superseded whatever the town could want.
Yeah, and this is a situation where, you know, avoidance is an option. You know, if there's a tree near where the dam's going to be, it can't be there. So to say we're going to reconfigure the project to avoid something, I don't think is an option. So
I don't think you can either.
You know, maybe we could talk about tweaking the mitigation, but I don't think it should. You know, this project's been through an exhaustive review, to put it mildly, and based upon my review of all the other agencies involved.
Well, as Marcia said, 22. But I just wanted to make sure, though, that we did take the time to address the commission. You know, they did review it, so I just wanted to make sure that we did acknowledge it and speak about it. But Dan, I do agree with you. I mean, it's not a question of removing the trees, and plus you have the DEC approval, as well as 21 other agencies that have already given the green light on this. So, but again, I just wanted to make sure we took the time to acknowledge the memo and just discuss it.
Can I just thank Marcia? You are the first property owner in Yorktown who has tackled fixing a dam without the dam having been broken. We've had a couple of instances where we've had problems with dams, and it's always been a struggle. And I just want to thank you. Not only does it take a lot of time, it's also quite expensive to do this kind of work. Thank you for what you've done.
No, and the permitting process itself is prohibitively expensive. And you know, it's difficult for citizens of this country. You know, you try and do something and the problem is the regulations don't always agree, right? We had a lot of debate with DEP and DEC over the type of ferns we could plant, you know, and one native species list doesn't jive with the other. And, you know, at some point you're like, whatever, just plant it. Yeah, I don't care. I'll put a fern, you know.
Right.
So it does have to be we've got to find a way as a country to make stuff easy enough for people who are just trying to do the right thing to actually be able to get it done. But, you know, people are well-intentioned. I like bats. I don't want to kill bats off. I like trees. You know, I sit on the board of the Teton Lake Reservation, and I'm happy to remove these invasive species. But, you know, at some point we just, you know, as a country, we need to figure out how we get it so that people can get stuff done. And you guys have all been wonderful helping us, you know, navigate through all this. So, you know, all of you too. But yeah, been a long process.
Good. Well, hopefully we're coming to the end of that process.
Amen.
And Diana, is there any other discussion from the board before we go to?
You know, I just wanted to say, Marcia, you and your family have been such great stewards, and it's amazing that you have done this. And I literally heard someone on the national level say the exact same thing that you said today. So, you know, it's really, you know, it's great to want to save, but there has to be a balance. There has to be a medium. And, you know, we're glad you stuck through it. And I think that's, you know, one of the, you know, not to speak for the entire board, but that's one of the objectives we have, is to make that balance happen.
Right.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
So Diana did show the notice that was posted, and so we'll now turn it over to her for if there's anyone who wants to speak to open up the public hearing.
Does anybody want to speak during public comment?
Do we have anybody signed up or anything?
No.
No? Okay.
All right.
I'm just making sure there's no one else who wants to speak. Mr. Gilbert? Yep.
Yeah, I just want to also add, during my tenure as supervisor, this project and the cemetery project was ushered through, and I again echo what everyone said in terms of the thanks to this family for being great, as Ed just mentioned, great stewards to the property. So I just wanted to add that.
No, thank you. Kind of funny. It goes back to every single town supervisor, all the way back to Linda Cooper. So
the 90s. I remember her from the 90s.
That's actually, it's not even funny. It's
no.
To be honest, it's not.
No,
okay. Well, then we'll make a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Hearing is closed, and I do know that you are under a timeline, and since we did not have anyone speak, and obviously 22 agencies have already approved it, is the board amenable to pass?
So moved.
Second.
Let's make sure that we're doing this so this way Diana has it right for her minutes. We're going to be passing. We're going to make a motion on a through the wetlands and tree permit submitted by Marsha Saunders, and we'll have a motion.
So moved.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Dan, can you fill in the blanks tomorrow or whenever?
We have general conditions. I'll make sure I get those to Diana to include into the resolution or the file on this.
Thank you.
Very good. Well, congratulations, Marsha. You made it to the finish line.
Thank you all very
much.
Thank you, Marsha.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Bye-bye.
Have a great night. Bye-bye.
Good night now.
Okay, we'll move on to resolutions. There are quite a few. So we have a resolution to accept the Yorktown Justice Court audit prepared by PKF O'Connor Davies, LLP, for fiscal year 2020. We have a resolution to approve a tax certiorari proceedings for 1766 Front Street, formerly owned by Toro Realty Corp. We will pass a resolution authorizing the supervisor to exercise the 2-year extension option with EnviroTest Laboratories, Inc. for laboratory services for the Yorktown Heights Water Pollution Control Facility. We will pass a resolution authorizing the supervisor, very excited about this one, by the way, authorize the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement, IMA, with the County of Westchester for the town to participate in the residential food scrap transportation and disposal program. We also will have a resolution authorizing the supervisor to execute an intermunicipal agreement, IMA, with the County of Westchester to grant the county a license, permit, and easement in order to allow the county to connect to the town-owned sanitary sewer system for the property located at 3840 Crampon Road. We have a resolution to reduce retainage for the Granite Knolls project to be released to Montesano Brothers, Inc. in the amount of $87,195.86. We will approve garbage license for CRP Sanitation, Inc. to service commercial properties in the town of Yorktown for the year 2021. We will authorize the release of driveway permit number 1215 in the amount of $500 and driveway permit 1217 in the amount of $500 to JAB Builders, Inc. We will authorize the town clerk to advertise bids for body work on town trucks and town cars. And we will extend a bid for dry cleaning services for the police department with Right Price Cleaners, Inc. And we also have resolutions pertaining to personnel that came from closed session. I'll read these in their entirety. Be it resolved that Thomas Fonte of Crampon, New York, is hereby appointed to the Civil Service Title Laborer, Job Class Code 0425-05, to be paid from Yorktown CSCA Salary Schedule A, Group 5, Step 1, which is $45,258 annually, with benefits such as sick days, personal days, and floating holidays to follow the CSCA agreement. Be it resolved, contingent upon successful completion of a drug test and reference checks. Be it resolved that Thomas Fonte will report to work at the Parks and Recreation Department on April 6, 2021, and this date will be used as the first date of appointment. Be it further resolved that this appointment is subject to a probationary period not less than 12 nor more than 52 weeks, commencing on the first date of appointment on April 6, 2021. We have another resolution from personnel. Be it resolved that Suzanne Weiner of Mohegan Lake, New York, is hereby appointed civil service title Senior Office Assistant Auto Systems, job class code 0751-01, from eligible list number 02-416, effective April 5th, 2021, to be paid at the rate set forth in the Yorktown CSEA Salary Schedule A1, Group 10, Step 1, which is $58,735 annually, with benefits such as sick days, personal days, and floating holidays, to follow the CSEA agreement. Be it resolved, contingent upon successful completion of a drug test and reference checks. Be it resolved that Suzanne Weiner will report to work at the Building Maintenance Department on April 5th, 2021, and this date will be used as the first date of appointment. Be it resolved that this appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12, no more than 52 weeks, commencing on the first date of appointment on April 5th, 2021. And lastly, from the Water Department, be it resolved that Michael Hecker of Wappingers Falls, New York, is hereby appointed to the Civil Service title Water Maintenance Worker Grade 1, Job Class Code 0620-01, from eligible list number 71-422, effective March 22nd, 2021, to be paid at the rate set forth in the Yorktown CSEA Salary Schedule A, Group 12, Step 1, which is $62,815 annually, with benefits such as sick days, personal days, and floating holidays, to follow the CSEA agreement. Be it resolved, contingent upon successful completion of a drug test and reference checks. Be it resolved that Michael Hecker will report to work at the Water Department on March 22nd, 2021, and this date will be used as the first date of appointment. Be it resolved that this appointment is subject to a probationary period of not less than 12, no more than 52 weeks, commencing on the first date of appointment on March 22nd, 2021. We have a motion to accept.
I have a question. Supervisor, please just acknowledge that the sewer connection to be hooked up is at the house or some business, because it has only lot number and everything else. But, do you know which property is that?
It's the county.
The county facility.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. I know this one now. Okay.
Yep.
There's too many things together. So okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Do we have a motion to accept all resolutions?
Motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motions carry. Is there any other business before the board?
Yeah.
Then we will have a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Be safe. It's too cold outside.
Good night, everyone.
Drive safely.
Good night, everybody. Happy St.
Thank
Patrick's.
you, Yorktown. Bye-bye.
Drive safely.
Good night.